Hi, Tiffany Young here with IdeateTV, and I'm with Amy Chu. She's a comic book writer with a very interesting story. Tell me more about your career switch and a little bit about what you've written so far.
Oh, sure. Well, I'm kind of new in the industry. I was just trying to help my friend, Georgia, get into comics, and I just kind of got pulled into the whole world of comics, I guess, and relatively recently. I mean, I've been lucky, but I've also been really, fixated on doing well in this business. So I got my first. I think we published our first comic 2012, and I just started shopping around and started getting professional work 2014, and then I got Poison Ivy last year. So that was a huge breakthrough for me, and now I write. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, it's been great, and now I write Red Sonja, and I write the Kiss comics for the band Kiss. So, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, show us what you got here.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so yeah, I'll show you. Well, this is what we originally started off with here. This is my first comic. So this is kind of what brought me into. And Georgia, my buddy, is like, she works for the Sci-Fi Channel now, and she's been, she's like, to me, she was the real writer. But she was like, why don't you try? And I started writing just for fun, and people were like, well, we really like your writing. So then I got.
Because you said you were on the business side.
I was on the business side. This is my first. Published comic in Vertigo. I got a Vertigo credit, and yeah, that was really amazing. And from that, I was able to get more DC Comics work. So it's not like it is. I'm definitely kind of an anomaly because I think most people don't really. That's not the normal career path. I had a different career, and yeah, I've been just really lucky, and I love it. I mean, part of it, if you don't love it, you really can't do it. That's the problem. You really have to put in the hours and. Yeah, it's like acting.
Yeah. So you fell in love with it?
Yeah, I did. My family was like, what's going on?
What was their reaction when you told them what you were doing?
It was really funny because unlike most people who get in the business, is because they love comics, and they love comics since they were a kid. And for me, I came into it quite late. I had a whole career and everything. It's not like I didn't know what comics were, but I wasn't like, oh, I can remember my first comic and things like that. And I honestly did not know a lot of the characters. I have to catch up. So once I realized I really wanted to do this, I've been reading like crazy. And my husband was like, what is going on? Why are there comics all over the house? Because I was kind of like, I didn't know if this would work or not, and it's kind of also a little bit like, it really is a little bit of coming out of the geek closet, It's just like, well, I'm doing this, and I didn't tell my parents for the longest time, when they I may have only told them maybe in the last year or so.
Really?
Yeah, because, it is kind of, I know people say it's high risk. It is really tough to break in, especially as a writer. Nobody reads your stuff. It's like Hollywood. You really just kind of have to work it and get self-published essentially, and then that's really how you break in, at least as a writer.
Right. You have the ultimate fantasy story of becoming a writer.
Well, for comic book fans, yeah. I think some people still don't understand what a comic book writer does, and it is a lot like being a screenwriter. You're doing the script for the art team, the penciler, the inker, the colorist to work off of, and I don't draw. I think some people think, well, it's like Calvin and Hobbes, you do the whole thing, and in this kind of industry, you have to have a whole team of people working on it.
Well, you're an inspiration to women too, because I don't see a lot of females around here, and I came upon you, and that's really great to show that you can do it.
Well, part of it, honestly, the other reason I got so fixated on it is that I was like, well, how is it that there aren't more women doing this? This is amazing, and I just felt like, well, I need to show that it can be done. And part of it too was like, okay, now. I did a panel very early on, I think it was 2012, and I was the only woman on the panel. And so a woman came up to me afterwards, and she started crying. And I'm like, oh my God. She's like, I'm so glad to see a woman. And I'm like, wow, it's not that hard, So I started doing a lot more panels, and then I started organizing panels, getting more women onto the panels, because it's like, why not? More. I certainly never thought I was going to be a comic book writer growing up. So I do think I want to encourage more women to do it, because you can. I did it. I feel like other people can do it. And I think the industry needs more women. So I'm kind of like, yeah, feel like I have to prove myself, I guess.
Definitely. Women's empowerment. You're an inspiration.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we support you, and thank you very much. Tiffany Young, IdeateTV.